big verdict from the top court of the country, with a bigger message to our political class. The apex court today upheld free speech, junking FIR filed by the Gujarat police against Congress MP Imran Pratap Gadi, calling free speech integral part of healthy society. A bench comprising Justices Abhay S. Oka and Ujjwal Bhuyan held that no offence was made out, criticizing the overzealousness of the Gujarat police in initiating action against Mr. Pratap Gadi. The Supreme Court said that restrictions on speech must be reasonable, not fanciful, stressing that Article 19(2) of the Constitution cannot overshadow the freedoms guaranteed under Article 19(1). Without freedom of expression of thoughts and views, it is impossible to lead a dignified life as guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution. In a healthy democracy, differing views must be countered with counter-speech, not suppression. The court said, literature, including poetry, drama, films, stand-up comedy, satire and art makes life more meaningful. The remarks come on the middle of a massive political row involving stand-up comedian Kunal Kamra and what he said in his set about Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. Big message from the top court. Will our political class listen? That is our top focus. On to the point this evening.
That also makes our top question that I ask this evening in our second debate. Free speech message by the top court, but will our political class listen? That's what we are asking. Second question, are we strangely in a dangerous phase of complete defiance of court guidelines? Not just about free speech, viewers, the court has laid very strict guidelines where bulldozers are concerned. Yet we see bulldozers rolling across the country. The third question that I ask this evening, free speech hostage to interpretation of judges, because Imran Pratap Gadi might have gotten lucky with these two judges. But we've seen in the past where some other judge would interpret something not as freedom of speech, but incitement to violence. So somewhere down the line, is free speech just how the bench or the judge interprets it? Let's take it to our political face-off this evening. Shaina NC, leader Shiv Sena, Charan Singh Sapra, national spokesperson, Congress. Shaina NC, I'd like to begin with you, and I'd like to quote what the Supreme Court said today, because the larger sobering message should also be knocking on Maharashtra's doorstep, where the top court of the country and the learned bench said that free speech is practically held hostage by insecure people. I don't know, are they talking about Eknath Shinde, your leader and deputy chief minister?
Clearly not. There are lots of references to context, Preeti, but I think Article 19(1) is clear enough. Restrictions on speech, how do you define what is reasonable and what is fanciful is for the honorable courts to interpret. But as far as we are concerned and the Kunal Kamra's case is concerned, he was absolutely a puppet under the guise of being a comedian. So that's a different story altogether. And who gives him the right under freedom of expression to be vulgar? Who gives him the right under freedom of expression and speech to call our leader a traitor? Nobody can cross the Lakshman Rekha and should not. And I'm glad that the Honorable Court has also viewed the differing views can be countered with differing opinion. But suppression is not the only form, but we would want healthy debate and dialogue, but you cannot use condescending terms. Preeti, it's important to understand that where humor stops, humiliation can't start. So you cannot equate humor with humiliation. And when it comes to even literature, poetry, comedy, films, the list is endless. Humor is the essence of life. But there were stalwarts like R.K. Lakshman, Mario Miranda, Balasaheb Thackeray himself, who always use tongue-in-cheek and humor without hurting people and their emotions. So I think the apex court holding for free speech is welcome, but also understanding that case to case it differs. And when you have an FIR registered, I mean, different people react to different situations differently. Preeti, we may discuss in a television debate. Somebody else may take to the streets. Somebody else may feel that, oh, this leader has impacted our lives so much that how can you use such adjectives and how can you be a puppet at the hands of certain political clowns who just want to, hog the limelight or get their own traction out of a controversy.
Okay.
So I think every
Shana,
case
your time is up. You were given 2 minutes. I'll come back to you. I'll circle back to you. And, possibly a question we must address is something we all know, because it all depends who draws that Lakshman Rekha. It's very, subjective. Number one. Number two, even if humor turns into humiliation, is violence something that should be accorded to, no matter how humiliated somebody gets? We're going to come back to that. Charan Singh Sapra, I'm going to bring you in, because Charan Singh Sapra, today, you might sit on a high moral ground and, preach to China NC, in this case, on the values of freedom of speech. But even your government, even your allies, you were in government with the Shiv Sena under Uddhav Thackeray, multiple accounts that the same Shiv Sena felt humiliated and went on to physically attack somebody or resorted to violence. I'll give you an example of the Rajasthan police at that point of time under Mr. Ashok Gehlot came knocking on a journalist's door in Delhi because they thought what he said was unsavory.
See, Preeti, number one, I would like to say that the Supreme Court has given a landmark judgment today. And very clearly, they have said that Article 19.2 cannot overshadow the freedom of speech given under Article 19.1. So 19.1 has to be safeguarded. This is the prime thing what the court has said. And now, as far as you are trying to give some examples of during the Congress rule or maybe the Mahavikas Agadi rule, I can also give you hundreds of examples of BJP during the BJP rule. And I can also give few examples in which even the Congress leaders were criticized everywhere on every stage. The court has rightly said that criticism in form of drama, poetry, or maybe art, that should be welcome. And Narendra Modi himself in a podcast few days ago, he has said that criticism should be welcomed. So what is the BJP or the Mahayuti leaders talking about? They don't listen to their own Prime Minister, to Narendra Modi. So the issue is that, let me also remind you that the Sony TV in Comedy Circus also had a broadcast in which Manmohan Singh and Sonia Gandhi ji was shown, and an elaborate, like a nearly 20 minutes play was shown over there in the Comedy Circus. We did not object. There are so many films which have come on Srimati Indira Gandhi and various other Congress leaders. We have not objected to that. And what is happening in this case is that leaders of high-ranking leaders like Naresh Maske, the Member Parliament, Sanjay Nirupam, various other leaders, 2 ministers, Shambhuraj Desai and Yogesh Kadam, they are saying कि Kunal Kamra को हम टायर में डाल के जला देंगे. So what is this happening? This is the politics of oppression. This is the politics of suppression. They can't suppress the feelings. They can't suppress the criticism. Should be welcomed, and criticism should be tackled with a counter speech. If they don't have a counter speech, then that is
okay. Your time is up. Your time is up. China NC, while you made your submissions, one of my producers has actually sent me a lot of cartoons by R.K. Lakshman, and some of them actually made quite a bit of fun of Bal Sahib Thackeray as well, and they both enjoyed a very, very close relationship, and I think you'd understand that. The fact is, China NC...
making fun is one thing, Preeti, but I think that we understand that when there's repartee, it's an exchange of commentary.
No, it wasn't an exchange. He had taken offense. He had taken offense.
You've never called somebody a traitor.
Okay, but the fact is, Shanansi, just the question before we, start your timer, it stems from the fact, of course, that our politicians, whichever side of the divide, have grown a very thin skin, number one, whether you admit it or not. Number two, with whatever you said, no matter he was a puppet, a staged puppet, he came from a political ideology, he said something which was completely wrong, humiliation. How is it that there is a defense of the violence that was conducted at the back of it?
I'm glad you've come to this point too. But first, I want to highlight that 2.5 years when Eknath Shinde was the then Chief Minister of Maharashtra, you didn't have one case of anyone being arrested, going to jail, irrespective. There were so many, journalists also who wrote against us, wrote for us, and there were counter opinions, contrarian opinions. Not once. Cut to, you look at Uddhav Thackeray, don't forget what happened with Ketki Chitale. Don't forget what happened with a Navy officer. The Senics then, prior to the current scenario, put people behind bars and behind bars for a long period of time. Now, if you look at the current scenario, you talked about R.K. Lakshman. Yes, of course, critique, commentary, but don't humiliate. And if you are going to be this classist, elitist comment of saying that a rickshawala cannot become the Chief Minister of Maharashtra and the most popular Deputy Chief Minister who has done work on ground, impacted
But at the
lives,
cost of coming
the
in China and
cadre
deal with him in court is the
the
question. Sorry.
cadre will respond differently. For every action, you have a reaction. It's not as if 12 people were not arrested. Of course, law should take its course. Of course, the police should do its job, and they have done so. 12 people were arrested. But to constantly say that, oh, what was this violence? I mean, you humiliate my leader to the extent of making it out to be that an aspirational story of a rickshawala cannot become the chief minister. He is a traitor, he's a gaddar, which is all nonsense. Because when he left, we know what has happened. The reality is the timing is question and suspect. It's a diversionary tactic in this case. And please note that 2024, the mandate for Eknath Shinde and the Shiv Sena has been so astounding that obviously certain people have no option but to use stooges like Kunal Kamra to play this puppet role at a question time, which is obviously very suspect to all our minds. And yes, the reaction could have been different, but different people react differently, and the law does take its course.
Well, that's the point, is every time you attach a but to it, you lose the essence of the criticism there, Shaina NC, and you know that better. But Charan Singh Sapra, I want to bring you in because the sad part is, Charan Singh Sapra, where you said it's all about whataboutery, isn't it? Because you'll have a Shaina NC, and she's very correct, where she named, I can add 3 more to the list of the naval officer, Ketki Chitale, Saad Ansari. There are many there. And you also recall, okay, this might have happened, but this didn't happen. It's all about whataboutery. It's about what suits you politically.
See, Preeti, if we go into such examples, let me tell you that the BJP leaders, right from Gully to Delhi, have been talking all this, the kind of hate speeches. More than dozen leaders of BJP are there in the country who are always giving hate speeches. I should not take their names also today. So what is BJP wanting, or the Mahayuti wanting? They are going to decide, they are going to certify what is abusive and what is not abusive. Then there is no law. Then ultimately what happens, the courts have to take decision, like they have taken decision today in the case of Imran, Pratap, Gadi. Similar thing might come in the case of Kunal Kamra also. So finally what happens कि ये देश के अंदर, मतलब ये देश जो है ये कोर्ट भरोसे चलेगा या राम भरोसे चलेगा, ये संविधान से नहीं चलेगा. The issue is that, and if I keep giving examples, then I can also say that Prime Minister standing in Parliament, he insulted Renuka Chaudhary by saying Supur Nakha, Srimati Sonia Gandhi Jersey Guy, Dr. Manmohan Singh raincoat पहन के नहाते हैं, night watchman. I can give you hundreds of examples like this, where Prime Minister Narendra, what about Ramesh Biduri? Ramesh Biduri in Parliament, when the House was going on, what did he say? कटुए ये वो क्या क्या चीजें नहीं बोली है, अनुराग ठाकुर ने क्या क्या चीजें नहीं बोली है, देश के गद्दारों को गोली मारो सालों को. So why no cases on them? Why no cases when BJP leaders are doing waterboutry and hate speeches? So this shows कि सैया भय कोतवाल तब डर काहे का, they know that it's our government. So that's why all the Shiv Senics entered there and vandalized the entire hotel. Now tell me, what is the fault of that hotel or the venue which was there? There was no fault of the venue person, but the whole venue was vandalized, the hotel was vandalized, and also the BMC went and they took a action which was either necessary or not necessary, either legal or not legal.
Okay.
That we have to decide later.
Your time is up. I'll give you 1 minute each, and I'll come back to the second question that we asked, Shaina NC. The fact is, there seems to be complete disregard of every guideline by the Supreme Court. Number 1, on free speech. Number 2, and even your government did so after what the Supreme Court said about bulldozers, very clearly calling it unconstitutional. Bulldozers rolled in Nagpur, only to then be, wrapped by the High Court.
No, see, when it comes to the BMC acting or restrictions, when it comes to what is legit, what is not, obviously we all believe that it should be in accordance with law. But if there are violations, why shouldn't those violations be acted on? I don't think this is a competition of what happened where. You talked about Nagpur. Nagpur was a clear case of a instigation to destabilize Maharashtra, the most peaceful state and the most peaceful city, which has actually been lauded for its Sanskriti and Sabhyata. And there you had this gang of Fahim Khan, etc., who only wanted to destabilize what was going on. And I think that to really bring situations under control, it has to be the prerogative of the government of the day too. Devendra Fadnavis, as Chief Minister, I think has done a fantastic job of getting people on board and the authorities acting where they needed to and getting the situation under control. So I don't think we can compare both. But I do want to say, when you call somebody a penguin and you put them in prison, what does that mean?
No, fair point. I agree with all of that. But like I said, the Supreme Court took a call, said very clearly unconstitutional if bulldozers roll. Yes, 1 minute, sir. Go ahead and I'm closing the show.
See, now Shaina is saying that Nagpur and this vandalization in Mumbai at Unicontinental Hotel cannot be kept at par. Why? Nagpur was also a riot. What happened in Hotel Unicontinental was equivalent to a riot. If there can be bulldozer in Nagpur, why this government is not sending bulldozers to the Shiv Sainiks who have vandalized the hotel? You can't differentiate like this. There cannot be two standards. There cannot be two set of rules. This is not the way governments are run. That's why the Supreme Courts or the High Courts, they have to interfere. And they have to show the government their place. They have to show BJP their place, that you are doing wrong. This is what is called Hitler-Shahi, Tana-Shahi. That's what BJP is trying to do. Similar things happen in Nagpur and similar thing has happened in Hotel Intercontinental. So you can't differentiate like this.
Okay. Well, that's all the time that we have for now. Appreciate both of you for joining us. Thank you there.